Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Agent Psycho, and I'm bringing you guys the next review in the series of Nemexis weapon reviews that they've released for the latest update. Recently, I think it was last week. It's only been a week, right? And they released 3 weapons. If you guys didn't know, the Nemexis F2000, which is a slightly downgraded version of the original F2000, which is the next variant of the FS2000, and the Nemexis Kriss, which is the other NX standard variant of the Kriss, which is a GP standard submachine gun, unlocked I think staff or Sergeant First Class 2, maybe, I don't know, I forget. But that and the Nemexis Nemexis DSR1, which is a slightly upgraded version of the DSR1. So this time, as the video title suggests, we are going to take a look at the Nemexis Kriss. And once again, this is the secondary NX standard variant of the Kriss. So without further ado, let us get started in this review. So comparing the statistics between the Kriss and the GP, the Kriss and the Nemexis Kriss, the Nemexis Kriss enjoys a 2-point increase in damage over the original Kriss, which had a rating of 33, whereas the Nemexis Kriss has a damage rating of 35. So straight away, the damage is much higher. Or not much higher. It doesn't seem much higher at first, but if you factor in rate of fire and time to kill, then you'll find that technically speaking, the Nemexis Kriss is a lot faster in its DPS. And thus, your overall time to kill is greatly reduced. I mean, as if the Kriss didn't have a fast killing time anyway, right? The portability on the Nemexis Kriss has also been increased by 1 point from 88 to 89. The rate of fire has stayed the same because, well, standard, the highest rate of fire ever seen in combat arms is 90, which is shared by very many submachine guns. And the accuracy has been increased by 1 point from 73 to 74, and the recoil has been reduced by 1 point from 63 to 62. Other than this, the only other differences really in the Nemexis Kriss that is noticeable over the original Kriss is the fact that the Nemexis Kriss has a tweak in his muzzle noise, where oddly enough it actually sounds a lot similar to the M6A2 CQB, the new GP assault rifle that they released as of the last patch, which is, well, what I like to call the poor man's M416 CQB, because literally it is. Other than that, the Nemexis Kriss is pretty much exactly the same as the original Kriss. Just a few slight tweaks in statistics here and there. Well, except for damage, the damage has been increased quite considerably, actually. If we're going by pure statistics here, so I guess it's not slight improvements. It's a pretty big improvement in damage, at least. But all others, it's pretty slight. And other than that, like I mentioned before, the only other change that the Nemexis Kriss has is the fact that it has a different firing noise, which, like I said before, sounds a lot like the M6A2 CQB for some reason. I don't really know what to say more about the Nemexis Kriss, to be honest, because it's basically like a revamped version of the original Kriss with the Nemexis skin attached to it as well. Though I will give you a note of warning, even though it does say that even though Combat Arms does say that the Nemexis Kriss is increased by, or its damage has been increased by 2 points, and the recoil has been reduced by 1 point, it's not exactly, well, whenever I used it, it didn't really feel that much more powerful, so I don't regret buying this only for 7 days. I bought the Nemexis F2000 and the Nemexis DSR1 for permanent, but I have not yet, I don't have any plans to buy the Nemexis Kriss for permanent, and I didn't, because I felt that, well, first of all, I much prefer the Kriss SpecOps, because the silencer on the SpecOps is fucking boss, and the Nemexis Kriss, while it's nice to have like those increases in stats, I honestly feel like overall the Nemexis Kriss still has the same problems that the Kriss had, where it has extremely vertical recoil, which is very annoying, especially when you're trying to side strafe and you're trying to shoot at people, and you know the diagonal recoil takes your aim like way like the opposite freaking direction than you want to shoot. So it's still highly annoying, and that the Nemexis Kriss basically just fails to address any of the major problems that the original Kriss had. I mean, it only buffs what it's strong at, and the only real, like, like significant improvement isn't even significant at all. Like you can't even notice it. So, I mean, I'm probably being a little bit too harsh on the Nemexis Kriss right now, but because the Nemexis Kriss, I did definitely feel that the diagonal recoil that the Kriss is infamous for is not as profound as it is on the Nemexis Kriss, but still it's there and it's very noticeable, and you will still have the same problems with the Nemexis Kriss as you will with the normal Kriss. It's far better to simply pick up the Kriss SpecOps for permanent in exchange, because, well, Kriss SpecOps, it's got that beast ass silencer, and well, overall it just handles a little bit more smoothly. Also, do keep in mind that the Nemexis Kriss does keep the weird tradition of the Nemexis's line of variants, except for the Orthus, though. The Orthus is obviously an exception to this, in that the Nemexis Kriss only has 28 rounds per magazine, which is a very weird number of bullets to have in a single magazine. Although I do think that the only significant advantage over the other than its increase in damage is the fact that it comes with an extra magazine. So if you like the Kriss, then maybe the Nemexis Kriss is a viable option. But to be honest with you, if I were to be straight up, the Nemexis Kriss is good, but it's still not as good as the Kriss SpecOps. I think you'll find much more success in just rocking the Kriss SpecOps. I think the Kriss SpecOps starts with an extra mag anyway, so it's not even, it's like, what the hell, why even buy the Kriss and the Nemexis Kriss for perm if you can always have the SpecOps? Anyways, I'm not too sure about that. Don't take my word for it, because it's been a very long time since I last reviewed the Kriss series. So, but anyways, other than that, that's about it. So, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will try to get out the Road to Mastery games for the DSR-1 Nemexis as soon as I can, though I highly doubt I'll be able to get them out within the month. Probably you will expect them, you should expect them next month in January and the New Year. So, anyways, guys, I apologize for the inconvenience. If you guys wanted to see gameplay with the Nemexis DSR-1, you'll just have to wait a little bit. And other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Good shit.